Millionaire stunned when Black Beggar crashes his office for a surprising reason. Jonathan J.T. Thompson, Chicago's golden boy of finance, the guy who built his empire from the ground up, sat perched in his penthouse office, overlooking that icy expanse of Lake Michigan. You know, the kind of view that screams, "I made it." But lately, that view felt more like a cold, empty promise. JT was all sharp suits and power lunches. A dude who could make million-dollar deals with a single steely glare. But the thrill? Gone. Replaced by this gnawing, restless feeling. Then, bam! Tuesday morning, right in the middle of quarterly reports, this old guy, Samuel Sam Jackson, looking like he'd lost a fight with a tumble dryer and life itself, just waltzes past security and into JT's pristine office. Security asleep at the wheel? Unheard of. Sam was black, old, probably homeless, and definitely out of place. JT was about to unleash hell, but then Sam drops this bomb, Project Phoenix. JT froze. All the blood drained from his face. Project Phoenix? That was his childhood. A game only he and his dad knew. A symbol of dreams, lost when his dad died. Sam claimed his dad's accident wasn't an accident at all. That he was mixed up in something deep, something dangerous. And now, JT was in the crosshairs. Corporate espionage? Government conspiracies? A hidden fortune? JT was reeling. Was this some elaborate con? Or was this old beggar the key to a past JT never knew? He cautiously offered Sam a seat, a cup of coffee. "Start talking," JT growled, his gut twisted in knots. Sam started spilling this crazy story, all hushed tones and knowing glances. JT was hanging on every word when, kaboom, the hallway exploded. JT's security team, out cold. Two figures in black suits stood in the doorway, faces like stone. "Thompson," one of them said, voice flat, "we need to have a little chat about your father and Project Phoenix." The last thing JT saw before everything went black was Sam whispering, "They know. They always knew." What did his father do? What the heck is Project Phoenix? And why are these guys so desperate to shut JT up? Ei, antes de continuarmos com essa história incrível, preciso te fazer um alerta importante. Muitos inscritos têm relatado que o YouTube removeu suas inscrições sem aviso. Dá só uma conferida rápida no botão vermelho aí embaixo para garantir que você ainda está inscrito no canal. Não quero que você perca nenhum conteúdo exclusivo que vem por aí. E já que você está aí, deixa aquele like poderoso que me ajuda muito com o algoritmo. Ah, e me conta nos comentários de qual cidade você está assistindo. Adoro conhecer cada pessoa incrível que faz parte dessa comunidade. Sua participação faz toda a diferença. Vamos interagir. The last thing JT saw before everything went black was Sam whispering, "They know. They always knew." Then, nothing. He woke up tasting blood, head throbbing like a drum solo gone wrong. The office was trashed. Papers everywhere. The view of Lake Michigan, gone, covered in smoke. He scrambled to his feet, dizzy. Where were the guys in black suits? Gone, vanished. And Sam? Nowhere to be seen. "Security!" he croaked, but all he heard was the faint crackle of the emergency broadcast system. Something big had gone down. He staggered to his feet, grabbing a heavy glass paperweight. Gotta get out of here. Gotta find out what the hell was going on. He made his way to the emergency exit, the stairwell smelling of burnt plastic and fear. Down, down, down he went, each step sending jolts of pain through his skull. Finally, he burst out onto the street. Cops everywhere, sirens wailing, people screaming, chaos. He tried to flag down a cop, But the guy just yelled, "Get back! This is a crime scene." Okay, plan B. He pulled out his phone. Dead, of course. He was cut off from the world. Alone. He started walking, just putting one foot in front of the other, trying to make sense of it all. Dad. Project Phoenix. Black suits. Explosions. It was like a really messed up movie. He ducked into a diner, desperate for some coffee, some information. The TV was blaring news about an explosion at Thompson Financial. They were saying, terrorism. He slid into a booth, ordered a coffee. Black. He needed to think. The waitress, a woman with tired eyes and a name tag that read Brenda, poured him a cup. "Rough day, huh?" she said, trying to smile. JT just nodded, took a long swig. "You know," Brenda said, leaning closer, "I saw that old guy you were talking to earlier. Before the, you know." JT's head snapped up. "Sam? You saw Sam?" Brenda nodded. "Yeah." He looked scared. He kept muttering about the truth and protecting the boy. "Protecting who?" JT asked, his voice barely a whisper. Brenda shrugged. "I don't know. Maybe you?" Then she dropped the bomb. "He said something else, too. Something about you being adopted." JT froze. The coffee cup slipped from his hand, shattering on the floor. Hot coffee splashed on his legs. But he didn't even feel it. Adopted? His entire life, everything he knew, all his memories, his family, it was all a lie? Brenda gasped, grabbing a rag. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to." JT didn't hear her. His head was spinning. Adopted. It was impossible, wasn't it? Suddenly, a figure appeared behind Brenda. Tall, imposing, black suit. "Thompson," the figure said, voice like ice. "It's time we had that chat." But this wasn't one of the guys from the office. This guy looked familiar. Too familiar. He stepped into the light, and JT's world shattered. It was his father. But that was impossible. His father was dead. "Hello, Jonathan," the man said, a cruel smile spreading across his face. "Long time no see. Or should I say, son." "Hello, Jonathan," the man said, a cruel smile spreading across his face. "Long time no see. Or should I say, son?" JT just stared. His brain short-circuited. His father? Standing there, alive? It was like something out of a freaking nightmare. "Dad, but you're dead," he stammered, his voice cracking. The man chuckled, a cold, nasty sound. "Dead? Please, Jonathan, that was just a necessary inconvenience." He glanced around the diner, his eyes lingering on Brenda, who was frozen in terror. "Let's take this somewhere more private, shall we?" Before JT could even blink, two more guys in black suits materialized out of nowhere. They grabbed him, not gently, and dragged him out of the diner. Brenda screamed, but nobody did anything. People were too scared. They shoved him into the back of a black SUV, the kind with tinted windows. His father slid in beside him, the smell of expensive cologne filling the small space. "Where are we going?" JT demanded, his heart pounding against his ribs. "Somewhere you'll finally learn the truth, son. About Project Phoenix, about your family, about everything." The ride was a blur of city streets and dark highways. JT tried to piece things together, but his mind was a tangled mess. His father was alive. He was adopted. Project Phoenix was real. What the heck was going on? Finally, they pulled up to a secluded mansion, the kind you see in movies. Gates, security cameras, the whole shebang. A led him inside, through opulent hallways, and into a grand library, filled with leather-bound books and antique furniture. And there she was, sitting in a high-backed chair, like a queen on her throne. his mother. But it couldn't be. His mother died when he was a baby. That's what he'd always been told. "Jonathan," she said, her voice soft but firm. "Welcome home." JT was speechless. He looked from his father to his mother, his head spinning. I don't understand," he finally managed to say. "Who are you people?" His mother sighed. "We are your family, Jonathan, your real family, and it's time you knew the truth." She stood up, walked over to him, and placed a hand on his cheek. Her touch was cold, distant. "You see, Jonathan, your father wasn't just some businessman. He was a guardian, a protector of a secret that could change the world." "Project Phoenix," JT whispered. His mother nodded. "Yes, Project Phoenix. A project so important, so dangerous, that we had to protect you. We had to hide you away." "But why?" "Because there are people who would stop at nothing to get their hands on it. People who would use it for their own selfish gain. And my other parents, the ones who raised me?" His father chuckled. "They were expendable. Necessary sacrifices." JT recoiled. "Sacrifices? You used them? You killed them?" "We did what we had to do," his mother said, her eyes hardening. "For the greater good." Then she dropped the bomb. "You see, Jonathan, Project Phoenix isn't just a project. It's a person." She paused, letting the words sink in. "It's you, Jonathan. You are Project Phoenix." JT felt like the floor had just dropped out from under him. He was Project Phoenix? What did that even mean? Before he could ask, his mother smiled, a chilling, predatory smile. "And now that you're home, Jonathan, it's time for you to fulfill your destiny." Suddenly, he felt a sharp pain in his arm. He looked down and saw a needle plunging into his skin. His mother was injecting him with something. What are you doing?" he gasped, his vision blurring. "Preparing you, Jonathan," she whispered. "Preparing you for your true purpose." The room started to spin. He felt himself falling. As darkness closed in, he heard his mother's voice, cold and distant, echoing in his ears. "Sleep now, Jonathan. When you wake up, you will be something else entirely. Then, nothing. Sleep now, Jonathan. When you wake up, you will be something else entirely. Then, nothing." He woke up gasping, strapped to a cold metal table. Bright lights burned his eyes. He tried to move, but his limbs were heavy, unresponsive. Panic flared. "Easy, Jonathan," a voice said. It was his mother. She was standing beside the table, a syringe in her hand. Her eyes were different, empty. "What did you do to me?" he croaked, his throat raw. "We enhanced you, Jonathan," she said, her voice devoid of emotion. "We unlocked your potential." His father stepped into view. He was holding a tablet, swiping through images. Images of JT, from his childhood, from yesterday. Images that shouldn't exist. Project Phoenix isn't just about genetics, Jonathan, his father said. It's about memories, about control. Suddenly, a jolt of pain ripped through his brain. He screamed, a sound that was quickly swallowed by the sterile room. He felt his mind being invaded, his thoughts being rearranged. Memories flickered, twisted, replaced. He saw himself as a child, playing in a park he'd never been to. He saw himself graduating from a school he'd never attended. He saw himself killing someone, a stranger, with cold, calculated precision. "What are you doing to me?" he sobbed, tears streaming down his face. "We're giving you purpose, Jonathan," his mother said. "We're making you who you were, always meant to be." The pain intensified. He felt his sense of self slipping away, replaced by something else. Something cold. Something ruthless. Something programmed. Then just as suddenly as it started, the pain stopped. He lay there, panting, his body trembling. But something had changed. He could feel it. He was different. "Want me to do?" he asked, his voice devoid of emotion. "There's someone we need you to eliminate," his mother said. "Someone who knows too much." She showed him a picture on the tablet. It was Brenda, the waitress from the diner. He stared at the picture, a blank expression on his face. Then a slow smile spread across his lips. "Consider it done," he said. But then something strange happened. A memory flickered. A memory of Brenda's kind eyes. A memory of her saying. He kept muttering about the truth and protecting the boy. And for a split second, just a fleeting moment, Jonathan was back. He ripped his hand away from his father's. "No," he said, his voice trembling. "I won't do it." His parents exchanged a look of disappointment, anger. "Jonathan," his mother said, her voice dangerously low, "you don't have a choice." "I do have a choice," he said, his voice gaining strength. "I choose to remember." And then he did something that shocked even himself. He lunged forward, grabbed the syringe from his mother's hand, and plunged it into his own arm. His parents screamed. He collapsed back onto the table, his body racked with pain. But this time, it was different. This time, he was fighting back. He was fighting for his memories. He was fighting for his life. He was fighting for Brenda. As darkness closed in once again, he heard his mother's voice, frantic and desperate. "What have you done, Jonathan? What have you done?" But this time, there was something else in her voice, something he hadn't heard before. Fear. He woke up sometime later, not on the cold metal table, but in a simple, nondescript motel room. His head was pounding, his body aching. He was alone. He stumbled to his feet and looked in the mirror. His eyes, they were still the same, but something was different. He could feel it. He was stronger, more aware. He had remembered. He had fought back, and he had won. But he knew this was just the beginning. He had to find Brenda. He had to protect her. He had to figure out what Project Phoenix really was. And he had to stop his parents. But how? They were powerful. They were ruthless. And they controlled his every move. He looked around the motel room, desperate for an idea. And then he saw it. A newspaper lying on the nightstand. The headline screamed, "Thompson Financial CEO found dead in apparent suicide." He picked up the paper, his hands trembling. The picture, it was him. Or rather, him his parents had created. An idea began to form in his mind. A crazy idea, a dangerous idea. But it was the only way. He was dead. Officially. To the world. He was a ghost. And ghosts, he knew, could be very, very dangerous. He grabbed his jacket, checked his gun, and walked out into the night, determined. He paused at the door and looked back into the small room. His whole life had been a lie. Now, he was an experiment escaped from his creators. He smiled grimly and walked out. Ready to become the nightmare they never knew they were creating. His real hunt was about to begin. He grabbed his jacket, checked his gun, and walked out into the night, determined. He paused at the door and looked back into the small room. His whole life had been a lie. Now he was an experiment escaped from his creators. He smiled grimly and walked out, ready to become the nightmare they never knew they were creating. His real hunt was about to begin. First, Brenda. He had to get to her. He jacked a ride, a beat-up Ford pickup, and floored it, heading back towards the city. The rain started coming down in sheets, blurring the streetlights, mirroring the chaos in his head. He tried calling. Brenda's diner, but the line was dead, probably shut down after the incident. He pushed the Ford harder, engines screaming. He pulled up a block from the diner, ditching the truck. The place was a mess, yellow tape everywhere, cops milling around, looking bored. He ducked into a darkened alley, heart hammering. He had to get to Brenda before them. Then he saw her, standing across the street, huddled under an umbrella, talking to a cop. She looked okay, shaken, but okay. Him. But then she froze. Her eyes darted behind him, and that's when he felt it. The cold steel pressed against the back of his head. "Don't move, Thompson," a voice hissed, "or the waitress gets it." It wasn't one of his parents' goons. This voice, it was familiar. Too familiar. He slowly turned around. Standing there, gun pointed at his head, was Sam, the old beggar, the guy who started all this. "Sam! What the—" "Shut it, JT," Sam growled, his eyes hard. "This isn't what it looks like." "Isn't what it looks like? You're pointing a gun at me." "Just trust me, kid," Sam said, his voice cracking. "There's no time to explain. They're watching." He felt a sudden jolt of something. Not fear, confusion, desperation. Who, Sam? Who's watching? Sam glanced around nervously. "Everyone, JT. Everyone." He lowered his voice to a whisper. "Listen, the Project Phoenix, it's not you. It's not what you think it is." "Then what is it?" "It's a lie," Sam said, his voice trembling. "A big, fat, stinking lie." Then he dropped the bomb. "Your parents, JT. They're not your parents. And your real family? They're not dead. They're waiting." He stared at Sam, his brain short-circuiting. "Waiting? Waiting where?" Sam took a deep breath. "In the shadows, JT. In the shadows. They've been waiting for you. For a long, long time." He wanted to believe him. He really did, but it was too much. Too crazy. "Prove it, Sam," he said, his voice barely a whisper. "Prove any of this is real." Sam hesitated. Then he reached into his pocket and pulled out something. A worn, faded photograph. He took it, his hands shaking. It was a picture of him, as a baby. But he wasn't alone. Standing behind him, smiling, were two people he'd never seen before. A man and a woman. And written on the back, in faded ink, was a single word: hope. "Who are they, Sam?" he asked, his voice cracking. "Who are these people?" Sam's eyes filled with tears. "They're the only family you've ever had, kid," he said. "And they're still out there, fighting for you." Then a car screeched to a halt behind him. Two figures in black suits jumped out, guns blazing. "Sam, get down!" he yelled. Sam shoved him to the ground, shielding him with his body. The bullets ripped through the air. He scrambled to his feet, grabbing his gun. He had to protect Sam. He had to find his real family. He had to uncover the truth about Project Phoenix. One thing for sure, everything he thought he knew was wrong. And the real game was just beginning. He looked down at the old man with one last glance before the sirens wailed, growing ever closer and closer. One last glance before he embraced the life he was meant to live, no matter the cost. He looked down at the old man with one last glance before the sirens wailed, growing ever closer and closer. One last glance before he embraced the life he was meant to live, no matter the cost. Sirens blared. Closer, louder. He had to move. He yanked open the back door of the diner, adrenaline pumping. Gotta get out of here. Gotta find Brenda. Gotta figure out anything. He plunged into the maze of back alleys, the rain soaking him to the bone. Garbage cans overturned, rats scurrying, the stench of decay clinging to the air. Perfect. He was home. He risked a peek back at the diner. Cops swarming. Yellow tape. The flashing lights painting the scene in stark, ugly colors. He had to find a place to lie low. Think. Plan. He spotted a battered, graffitied door leading to a basement. Looked like a forgotten storage space. Good enough. He kicked the door open, wincing at the screech of metal. Dark, damp, smelled like mildew and moss dreams. He fumbled for his lighter, flicking it on. A tiny flame illuminated a cramped space filled with junk. Broken furniture, dusty boxes, forgotten toys. He found a relatively clean corner, slumped down and took a deep breath. Okay, JT. Think. Sam, your parents aren't your parents. Your real family is waiting. Waiting where? For what? He pulled out the photo Sam had given him. The man and woman smiling at him. A baby. Hope. He stared at their faces, searching for something. Recognition? A clue? Nothing. Then a glint of metal caught his eye. Hidden behind a stack of boxes, partially obscured by a tattered blanket, was a metal briefcase. Not just any briefcase. A high-tech military-grade briefcase. The kind that screams secrets. He hesitated. Was this some kind of trap? A setup? He had to know. He grabbed the briefcase, his heart pounding. He punched in the numbers, a random sequence he felt compelled to enter. Click. The latches popped open. He lifted the lid. Inside, nestled in foam padding, was a single object. A USB drive. He picked it up, his fingers trembling. What was on it? The truth about Project Phoenix? The identity of his real family? He had to find a computer. He spotted a dimly lit internet cafe across the street. Risky, but he had no choice. He slipped out of the basement, dodging the rain, and sprinted across the street. He pushed open the door, the smell of stale coffee and desperation washing over him. The cafe was almost empty. A few teenagers glued to their screens, a lone guy nursing a cup of coffee. He found an empty terminal in the back, plugged in the USB drive, and waited. Nothing. He clicked on the drive icon. A single file appeared. A video file. He double-clicked. The screen flickered, then filled with static. Then a face appeared. An old woman. Her face etched with wrinkles. Her eyes filled with sorrow? Fear? Jonathan, she whispered, her voice raspy. If you're seeing this, it means everything has gone wrong. He leaned closer, his breath catching in his throat. Who was this woman? They took you, Jonathan, she continued, her voice trembling. They stole you from us, from your real family. He felt a chill run down his spine. Project Phoenix, it was supposed to protect you, to keep you safe. But they twisted it. They corrupted it. They turned you into a weapon. We tried to stop them, Jonathan. We tried everything. But we failed. The old woman paused, took a deep breath. There's only one way to stop them now, Jonathan. You have to find the key. The key to Project Phoenix. The key to your past. The key to your future. It's hidden where everything began. Look for the Raven. The screen went black. The video ended. He stared at the screen, his mind reeling. The Raven? What did that mean? Then he noticed something. Reflected in the black screen, behind him, standing in the doorway, his father. But it wasn't his father. It was a younger version, maybe 20 years younger. He was wearing the same black suit. The same cruel smile on his face. But there was something else, something different. He was holding a gun. "Hello, Jonathan," he said, his voice cold and menacing. "Did you enjoy the show?" He whirled around, knocking over the chair, scrambling to his feet. How is this possible?" he stammered. His father chuckled. "Oh, Jonathan, you have so much to learn. You see, Project Phoenix isn't just about genetics. It's about time." He raised the gun, pointing it directly at his head. "And now, Jonathan," he said, his eyes glinting with madness, "it's time for you to disappear." But then, something impossible happened. A figure emerged from the shadows behind his father. A woman, wearing a black coat, her face obscured by a hood. She moved with lightning speed, grabbing his father's arm, twisting it behind his back. The gun clattered to the floor. His father screamed in pain. The woman pulled back her hood, and JT stared in disbelief. Standing there, her eyes blazing with fury, was Brenda, the waitress from the diner. But she wasn't just a waitress. She was something else, something dangerous, something familiar. "Run, Jonathan," she yelled, her voice a fierce whisper. "Run and don't look back." "Run, Jonathan," she yelled, her voice a fierce whisper. "Run and don't look back." Brenda? Kicking ass? What the hell was going on? He didn't have time to think. He ran. He bolted out of the internet cafe, dodging startled pedestrians, adrenaline coursing through his veins. He didn't know who to trust, what to believe, but he knew one thing. Brenda had just saved his life. He risked a glance back. Brenda was fighting his father, a whirlwind of motion and fury. She was good, damn good. But his father was strong, relentless. This wasn't going to last. He had to help her. He stopped, turned, and charged back towards the cafe. But as he reached the door, a figure stepped out, blocking his way. It was Sam. But this wasn't the Sam from before. The shuffling, mumbling beggar. This Sam was different. He stood tall, his eyes clear, his face grin. He held a gun. "Where do you think you're going, JT?" Sam said, his voice hard. "Sam, what are you doing? I have to help Brenda." "Brenda doesn't need your help," Sam said, shaking his head. "She's exactly where she needs to be." "What does that mean?" Sam sighed. "It means you're not ready for the truth, kid. Not yet." "The truth? I'm drowning in lies, Sam. Just tell me what the hell is going on." Sam hesitated. Then his expression hardened. "Fine. You want the truth? Here it is." He took a step closer, his voice dropping to a whisper. "Brenda, she's your sister." His sister? Brenda? The waitress? The woman who just saved his life? It was impossible, wasn't it? "No," he said, shaking his head. "That's not true. It can't be." "It is true, JT," Sam said, his eyes filled with sadness. "Your real family, they were all part of Project Phoenix. You, Brenda, your parents, all of you." "But why the diner? Why was she a waitress?" Sam smirked, a bitter, humorless expression. "A cover, JT. A way to keep an eye on you, to protect you." "Protect him? From what? From whom?" Then the cafe exploded. A deafening blast. A searing wave of heat. A shower of glass and debris. He was thrown to the ground, his ears ringing, his vision blurred. He scrambled to his feet, coughing, choking on the smoke. The cafe was gone, reduced to rubble. Brenda, his sister, she was inside. He staggered towards the wreckage, his heart shattering. He had to find her. But then he saw it, a figure emerging from the smoke. Not Brenda, his father. But this wasn't the younger version from before. This was the father he knew, the cold, calculating businessman. He was holding something in his hand, a bloodied, crumpled photograph. The photograph Sam had given him, the photograph of his real parents. His father smiled, a cruel, triumphant smile. "Looking for something, Jonathan?" he said, his voice smooth and silky. He lunged at his father, rage blinding him, but before he could reach him, his father spoke a single word: "Goodbye." And then he shot himself in the head, right in front of him. He stood there, frozen, staring at the lifeless body, his father, dead. But something was wrong, terribly wrong. He looked down at the photograph in his father's hand. It wasn't the same photograph. This photograph, it was different. He picked it up, his hands trembling. It was a picture of him as a baby. But he wasn't alone. Standing behind him, smiling, were two people he'd never seen before, a man and a woman, and written on the back in faded ink was a single word: Mom. He stared at the photograph, his brain short-circuiting. "No," he whispered. "It can't be." But it was. He knew it. The woman in the photograph, it wasn't just anyone. It was Brenda. Brenda wasn't his sister. Brenda was his mother. And then everything went black. He stared at the photograph, his brain short-circuiting. "No," he whispered. "It can't be." But it was. He knew it. The woman in the photograph, it wasn't just anyone. It was Brenda. Brenda wasn't his sister. Brenda was his mother. And then everything went black. He woke up in a car, moving fast, blindfolded, gagged. Someone was driving, but he couldn't see who. His head throbbed. His body ached. What the hell just happened? The car swerved, throwing him against the door. He heard voices, muffled, unfamiliar. They were talking about him. He knows too much. He knows too much. Project Phoenix is compromised. Fear gripped him. They were going to kill him. Right here, right now. He struggled against the restraints, but they were too tight. He was trapped. The car slowed, then stopped. He heard doors opening, closing. He was dragged out of the car, stumbling, falling to the ground. Rough hands pulled him to his feet. They ripped off the blindfold. He blinked, adjusting to the light. He was in the middle of nowhere. A deserted warehouse district. Empty buildings, broken windows, the smell of decay hanging in the air. Surrounding him were soldiers, dressed in black uniforms, faces hidden behind masks. In front of him, standing in the shadows, was a figure he recognized. Sam, the old beggar, the guy who knew everything. But this wasn't the Sam from before. This Sam was different. He was younger, stronger. His eyes burned with intensity. "Welcome, Jonathan," Sam said, his voice deep and resonant. He stared at Sam, his mind reeling. "What is this, Sam? What's going on?" Sam smirked. "You still don't get it, do you? Project Phoenix wasn't about you, Jonathan. It was about me." He felt a chill run down his spine. "You? What do you mean?" Sam stepped forward, his eyes locking with his. "I am Project Phoenix, Jonathan. I always have been." He shook his head, confused. "But the old woman, she said—" Sam laughed, a cold, cruel sound. "The old woman? You mean my mother? She was just a pawn, Jonathan, just like you." He couldn't believe it. Everything he thought he knew was a lie, a twisted, elaborate lie. "Why, Sam? Why are you doing this?" Sam sighed, his expression softening. "Because I have to, Jonathan. Because it's my destiny. My destiny is to change the world. To create a new order. An order where the strong rule and the weak obey. And you, Jonathan," Sam said, stepping closer. "You are going to help me." Suddenly, he felt a sharp pain in his head. He cried out, clutching his skull. His vision blurred. He stumbled, falling to his knees. What was happening to him? Then he saw it. A needle in Sam's hand. He was injecting him with something. "What is that, Sam? What are you doing to me?" he gasped. Sam smiled. A chilling, predatory smile. "Preparing you, Jonathan," he whispered. "Preparing you for your true purpose." He felt himself fading, slipping away. As darkness closed in, he heard Sam's voice, cold and distant, echoing in his ears. "Sleep now, Jonathan. When you wake up, you will be mine." Then, nothing. He opened his eyes. He was in a hospital room, clean, sterile. He sat up, his head throbbing. He felt different. Empty. A figure stood by the window, silhouetted against the light. Sam. He turned, his eyes locking with his. "Welcome back, Jonathan," Sam said, his voice smooth and reassuring. He stared at Sam, his face blank. He felt nothing. No fear. No anger. No anything. "How do you feel, Jonathan?" Sam asked, stepping closer. He blinked, his mind struggling to focus. I don't know," he said, his voice flat. Sam smiled. "That's good, Jonathan. That's exactly what I wanted to hear." He paused, then reached out and placed a hand on his shoulder. "You're mine now, Jonathan," Sam said, his voice filled with conviction. "You belong to me." Then he whispered something that shattered the foundations of his reality. Something so unbelievable, so horrifying, that it made everything that came before seem like a childish game. "And Jonathan, I am your father. And Jonathan, I am your father." My father? Again? My head was spinning, a damn top that wouldn't quit. I stared at Sam. No, he stared back. A cold glint in his eyes that I'd never seen before. This wasn't the confused old man, not even the younger, more capable Sam from before. This was something else entirely. A predator. You're lying," I croaked, my voice barely a whisper. I had to say it. Sam just chuckled, a sound that made my skin crawl. "Oh, Jonathan, you think you know so much, but you know nothing. I've been pulling the strings all along. Project Phoenix? It was never about enhancing you. It was about creating me." He stepped closer, and the scent of antiseptic and something else, something acrid and metallic, filled my nostrils. "Your parents, the ones who raised you, the ones you believed in, they were just puppets. Tools to ensure my creation, to ensure your compliance." Compliance? What the hell was he talking about? My head swam with fragmented memories. Brenda's kindness, his father's coldness, Sam's everything. It all felt like a sick, twisted movie, and I was the unwilling star. "But, Brenda," she said, I started, but Sam cut me off with a wave of his hand. "Brenda," he said, a hint of something almost fond in his voice. "Yes, Brenda, my loyal lieutenant, my most prized creation." My heart slammed against my ribs. "What? You see, Jonathan, you weren't the only experiment. Brenda, she's a clone of of someone very important to me. Someone I lost a long time ago." He paused, and for a flicker of a second, I saw something in his eyes. Pain? Regret? It was gone as quickly as it appeared. "Brenda has been programmed to protect you, to guide you, to ensure that you fulfilled your purpose, which, of course, is to serve me." I stared at him, speechless. It was too much, too insane. I couldn't process it. And then he dropped the final bomb. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small silver locket. He opened it, revealing 2 tiny photographs. One was of a young woman, beautiful, with kind eyes and a warm smile. The other was of me, as a baby, being held by the woman. But that wasn't the shocking part. The shocking part was the inscription on the back of the locket. A single word, Mommy. But below it, barely visible, etched in tiny, almost imperceptible letters, was another word, Brenda. My world shattered. The ground beneath me crumbled. Brenda was my mother, and Sam wasn't my father. He was my brother. Surprise, Jonathan, Sam said, his voice dripping with venom. Welcome to the family. He lunged forward, a syringe glinting in his hand. But before he could reach me, a voice cut through the silence. Stop! We both froze. Standing in the doorway, silhouetted against the harsh glare of the warehouse lights, was a figure I never expected to see again. A figure I thought was dead. A figure with a gun in her hand and a look of pure, unadulterated fury on her face. Brenda. Brenda! Gun in hand? It was a frickin' movie. Sam spun around, shock on his face. I saw my chance. I tackled him, sending us both crashing to the floor. The syringe went flying. We grappled. A desperate, ugly fight. He was strong, but I was running on pure adrenaline. Why, Sam? Why this? I yelled, slamming his head against the concrete. It's my destiny, Jonathan! You wouldn't understand! He spat back. Brenda moved like a ghost. She grabbed the syringe, aimed, and fired. Not at Sam, at me. Brenda, no! Sam screamed, but it was too late. The needle plunged into my arm. My vision blurred. Everything went dark. Again. I woke up in the same hospital room. Sam was gone. Brenda was there, sitting by my bed, watching me. Her eyes, they were filled with tears. Mom? I whispered, my voice cracking. She nodded, her face etched with pain. Oh, Jonathan, I'm so sorry. What happened? She took a deep breath. Sam, he was going to use you to control the world. He had become everything we fought against. But why, Mom? Why all this? She hesitated, then reached into her pocket and pulled out a small, worn photograph. It was the same picture Sam had shown me. The young woman holding me. This was my sister, Jonathan. Your aunt. Sam, he was obsessed with her. He wanted to recreate her, to control her. But she died, and he lost himself. She paused, tears streaming down her face. Project Phoenix. It was meant to honor her memory, to create a better world. But it twisted him. It corrupted him. And me? What am I? She looked at me, her eyes filled with love. You are my son, Jonathan. My beautiful, brave son. And you are free. She reached out and took my hand. It's over, Jonathan. Sam is gone. The project is finished. We can finally have a life. A real life. I looked at her, my heart aching. It was all so messed up, so twisted. But in that moment, holding her hand, I felt a sense of peace I had never known before. We walked out of the hospital, together. The sun was shining. The sky was blue. It was a new beginning. Or was it? Years later, I find myself staring out at the ocean, a glass of whiskey in hand, thinking about everything that happened. I hear someone calling my name. I look back, my eyes adjusting to the dim light. It's Brenda. She's smiling. But behind her, standing in the shadows, is a figure I thought I would never see again. A figure with a familiar smile and a glint of madness in his eyes. Sam. He raises a hand, and I see a small silver locket glinting in his palm. He speaks, his voice a chilling whisper carried on the wind. "Hello, Jonathan. Did you really think it was over? What is he planning now? Listen up, true believers. This story ain't over till you say it's over. You need to subscribe to this channel now. Don't let those other guys control your feed. Only true fans understand the importance of staying connected. Smash that like button right now. Feed the algorithm. Let them know you're here. This is the moment to show your support. Do it now. Indate the comment section. Tell us what you thought. What happens next? Who can you trust? We're dying to know what you think. Share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this insane ending. Don't wait another second. Only true fans understand the power of sharing.